Hey everybody, this is Mr. Belial and welcome back to lesson 97. We're looking at transversals today. What are transversals? Well, let's just get right into it. New concept, apparently. It's new to you all. It is a line that intersects two or more lines. That is a transversal. In this drawing, line R is a transversal of lines S and T. Line R is a transversal of lines S and T. Why is that? Because it's two or more lines that are crossed or intersected by another line. That line that intersects two or more lines is a transversal. So in this drawing, you can see that lines S and T are not parallel. However, in this lesson, we'll focus on the effects of transversal intersecting parallel lines. So in this case, like this example here, we'll be able to look at lines M and N intersecting by transversal P. So notice that the 8 angles are formed when this happens. In this figure, there are 4 obtuse angles, numbers 1, 3, 5, and 7, angles 1, 3, 5, and 7, and 4 acute angles, angle 2, angle 4, angle 6, and angle 8. And you can see the difference between those. There's an exterior angles, those are on the outside of the parallel lines, and interior. Let's just look at another slide here I have for that. Show you here. So if you've got a line that intersects two or more lines, it's called a transversal. So for example, this line right here is a transversal. Why is that? Because it's crossing two or more lines. It's intersecting, it's crossing two or more lines. Angle 1 and angle 5, angle 1, that's this angle right here, and angle 5 are considered corresponding angles. They have the same relative position. Angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. As a matter of fact, angle 4 is corresponding to what other angle? What would angle 4 be corresponding to? Angle 4 should be corresponding to, in this case, you could see angle 4 corresponds to angle 8. So angle 4 corresponds to angle 8. We could go on and you could see that they would all have a corresponding angle. So angle 3, what would angle 3 correspond to? Angle 3 would be corresponding to angle 7. Nice job. What would angle, let's do another one here, the last one. What would angle 2 correspond to? What would angle 2 correspond to down here? That's right, it'd be angle 6. Okay, so those are all corresponding angles. They have the same relative position. That's the top right corner of this circle, this 360 degrees right here. Top right corner, this top right quadrant. Same down here, you've got this 360 degree top right corner. We'll call it quadrant 1, just like that. And then you can see the same thing. This is corresponding here. This is like quadrant 2. This would be quadrant 3. This would be quadrant 3. And if we wanted to name this one, we could name it 4 and name it 4. But each of those are corresponding. Let me just back that up a little bit, but not that much. I don't want to go that far. All right, so let's look at the next thing. If you have angles that are interior angles, those are angles between the parallel lines. So these are interior. So that would be these angles here that are on the inside. It also would be the ones over here, that one and that one. Those are all interior angles. Alternate interior angles are opposite sides of the transversal. So here, if we're looking at the opposite side, here's an interior angle. What's the alternate interior angle? Well, that would be this one. See this? It's on the opposite side of this interior angle. You have to jump over it, but it has to be the alternating one, not adjacent, but alternating. So the alternate interior angle of angle 3 is angle 5. What would be the alternate interior angle of angle 4? Well, if you jump over the transversal, it'd be angle 6. So those are the alternate interior angles. Angles not between the parallel lines are considered the external or exterior angles. So they're not between. So you can see this one is not between it. This one is also on the outside. This one's on the outside, and so is this one. They're on the outside of the parallel lines. You can see the parallel lines M and parallel line N. So those would be considered exterior angles. That would be 1, 2, 8, and 7 angles. The angles 1 and 7, let me just clear everything off here so we can have some easier look at this. If you have angle 1 and angle 7, you can see that they cross, they were the alternate, which means I'm jumping over the transversal. So if I'm alternating, I'm going to jump over onto the other side, and it says exterior. Well, the alternate exterior, they're this one. It's not the one on the just the opposite side, because these are angle 1 equals angle 7. That's what we're going to notice here. This alternate exterior means I have to jump over, and those two are equal to each other. Okay. So looking at this again, what are our corresponding angles? Why don't we list the corresponding angles? Technically, if you're writing it, you're going to name each one of these angles with this symbol. If you're typing your answer, you might want to type the word angle. So what are the corresponding angles in this case? Well, it would be angle 1 corresponds to angle 5. Then there's also another pair of corresponding angles. There's one that corresponds with angle 2. Corresponds to what other angle? 6. Right. What about angle 3? If you have angle 3, what does that correspond to? 7, right? Should be angle 7. What would be the corresponding angle to angle 4? So let me just put angle 4 right here. What would be the corresponding angle to angle 4? Angle 4, which one is it going to be? Is it going to be 5, 6, 7, or 8? 8. Angle 8. Okay. What about the interior angles? List all the interior angles. Go. Should be angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, angle 6. Nice job. What about the alternate interior angles? So what would be the alternate to angle 4? What's the alternate interior angle to angle 4? So if you're looking at 4, alternate means you have to jump over, but it has to be the equal version. It has to be equal to each other. Alternate interior angles are equal. So that'd be these two angles here. Let me just get rid of this one here. We don't want that for a second. So it'd be angle 6. What's the other pair of alternate interior angles? One of them is angle 3, but what's the alternate interior angle corresponding, or sorry, not necessarily corresponding, but it is the same size, angle 5. What about the exterior angles? Let me just get rid of this. So if you've got exterior angles, you should have all the ones on the outside of the parallel lines. So those would be angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, or sorry, I just kept going. It's not angle 3, it's angle 7 and angle 8. Those are on the exterior. See, they're on the outside of the parallel. Interior would be on the inside, exterior is outside of the parallel lines. What are the alternate exterior angles? So let's start with angle 1. What's the alternate exterior angle to angle 1? It would be angle what? 7. And what about angle 2? Since that's an exterior angle, what would be the alternate exterior to 2? 8. Angle 8. All right, let's try this one. Transversal W, that's right here, intersects parallel lines X and Y. Name the pairs of corresponding angles. So let's start with that one. So the pairs of corresponding angles, let's just start with angle A. So we have angle A, and let me use lowercase since that's what they're using over here. Angle A corresponds to angle F, or sorry, angle E is what I meant to say. Then you have angle B corresponds to angle F. Okay, and then you have angle C corresponds to angle G. So angle C corresponds to angle G, and angle H and angle D are those that are remaining. So angle D corresponds to angle H. Name the pairs of alternate interior angles. So interior means inside the parallel lines. So it's got to be these 4 are all that we have to figure out. So we're going to start with angle C. Let me just start with angle C. Is an alternate to which one? We have to jump over, and it has to be equal in size. You can see that this is an obtuse angle. Because it's obtuse, I can see that it has to be this one. These are 2 equal angles. They are the ones that are alternate interior angles. And then the other pair is the only ones remaining. We have angle D is an alternate interior angle to angle F. Then it says name the pairs of alternate exterior angles. So if we're looking at the exterior angles, let's start with A here. Here's the A. Hopping over to the other side, it can't be B because you can see this one's obtuse, this one's acute. This one's obtuse, this one's acute. So which one matches? Well, it's angle G, and it's on the exterior, remember, is the outside of the parallel lines, X and Y. So if we have angle A, that's an alternate exterior angle to angle G. The other pair is simply the remaining answer. You have angle B is the alternate exterior angle to angle H. So if measure of angle A is 115 degrees, what's the measure of angle E and angle F? So here's angle A. Angle A is supposedly 115 degrees. It's asking what is E and what is F as far as their measure is concerned. So here's E and here's F. if this one is 115 degrees, well, you can figure out quite a bit from that. You can find out what this angle is and all of these other angles. Knowing just one angle, we can find the remaining angles here. Let me just get rid of all this for a second. So if you're starting with angle A here, and it's 115 degrees, we know a few things. We know we can find out, hey, angle A, I remember that. That's a corresponding angle to angle E. So what does that tell me? That tells me that this angle E is also 115 degrees. These are equal to each other. So now I can also find out what angle F is, because now I know angle E is 115 degrees. And now I know F because what do I know about lines? What do we know about a straight line? It equals 180 degrees, right? So if you've got this measure, if you used a protractor, you could measure this, and that'd be 180 degrees. This would be 0 over here, and this would be 180. So it's 180 degrees. If the whole thing is 180 degrees, we know that we can take this 180 and subtract what we do know, the 115, to find out what's remaining here. So in here, we've got this changed to 7, this would be 10, that'd be 5, and that'd be 6. So that means this angle F then has to be 65 degrees. And to double check my work, I just want to take 115 plus 65, and it has to add up to what? 180. 180 degrees. So if you have all of those, then you're right. All right, let's try these. Which line in the figure at the right is a transversal? What's the name of the line? Correct. It would be line C. Nice job. What about letter B? Which angle is an alternate interior angle to angle 3? Alternate means we're jumping over the transversal. The line C was the transversal, and it has to be on the inside. So that means it's this angle down here. See that? This 3 is the same as this 5, so it's angle 5. Nice job. Which angle corresponds to angle 8? So if we're looking at angle 8, what's the corresponding angle? Angle 4. Okay, that'd be, see how it matches up? They correspond, they are equal. Which angle is the alternate exterior angle to angle 7? So if I'm looking at angle 7, which angle is the alternate? That means it jumps over the transversal, and it's external, or an exterior angle. Should be angle 1. If you were looking at angle 6, you can see that angle 6 is an acute angle and angle 7 is an obtuse angle. So it has to be angle 1. If the measure of angle 1 is 105 degrees, what is the measure of each of the other angles in the figure? Well, that's pretty easy to find out what angle 5 is because it's corresponding. I can see angle 5 is 105. I can also see that angle 3 is actually going to be 105 degrees. I can also see that angle 7 is 105 degrees. So I've got 4 of my angles. Now I just need to find out what 4, 2, 8, and 6 are. And once I find out what 4 is, I know what all the others are. How do I find that? By taking that 180 degree line that I see here and subtract the knowledge of the 105 that we have, that's 180 degrees and 105 degrees. Subtract it, you end up with 7. This would be 10, this would be 5, 75. So this means angle 4 is 75, angle 2 is the same, 75 degrees, angle 8 is also 75 degrees, and angle 6 is also 75 degrees. Okay. All right, go ahead and do your quiz here. If angle 3 measures 110 degrees, what is the measure of angle 7? If angle is which angle is an alternate interior angle to angle number 2? And number 3, it says angle 4 measures 70 degrees. What is the measure of angle 8? So it's on a straight line again. So that transversal, you know how much that's worth if you're looking at this angle all the way from here to here. Hopefully you know what that's worth in value, so you can answer that. And number 4, which angle is an alternate exterior angle to angle 6? And then number 5, which line is a transversal? And number 6, which angle corresponds to angle 1? All right, that's it for today, guys. Make sure you get everything done by midnight, and we'll see you tomorrow.